Welcome back to Department 88, where we explore what it means to lead with joy, renew the mind, and cultivate teams and cultures that thrive. I'm your host, Amy Charbonneau, transformational specialist in leadership, mindset, and culture renewal. I'm a woman who has learned firsthand that joy is not a byproduct of success. It's the power source that fuels it. Today's episode is called Creating Joy in the Workplace, the New Leadership Mandate. And this conversation is especially for the leaders, whether you lead in business, ministry, education, or healthcare, who feels the weight of keeping teams motivated, engaged, and connected in a world that often feels quite heavy. Let's be honest, when we talk about workplace wellness, most of the time we're talking about burnout, resilience, and stress management. But there's a study that pointed out if we're already talking about burnout, the battle might already be lost. That line kind of stopped me in my tracks because what if the goal is not to manage stress, but instead to create joy? There's a principle in the Bible found in Nehemiah, and it says, the joy of the Lord is your strength, not the productivity of the Lord, not the protection of the Lord. Joy is the fuel that strengthens leaders, teams, and entire organizations. So when joy disappears, creativity fades, conflict grows, and culture crumbles. But when joy is cultivated intentionally, people flourish. They remain, they contribute, and they come alive. So let's reframe the conversation. Creating joy in the workplace isn't just a nice idea, it's a leadership strategy. It's neuroscience, it's culture building. And for those of us who lead from faith, it's spiritual stewardship. You see, joy and burnout live on opposite ends of the same spectrum. Where joy thrives, burnout cannot survive. Did you hear that? Where joy thrives, burnout cannot even survive. And that's not by accident, it's by design. So our brains are designed to release dopamine and oxytocin when we experience gratitude, belonging, laughter, and meaningful purpose. That's not just psychology, it's divine design. So leaders, if your teams feel heavy, if engagement is low, or people are just going through the motions, this isn't just about management issues, it's a joy deficit. So the research reminds us that joy starts with meaning. When people believe in the mission, vision, and values of what they're building, they feel alive. There's a man named Viktor Frankl once said, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. And I would add, that's why God gives vision. Without vision, people perish, or at the very least, they disengage. So leaders, when was the last time you revisited your mission and vision with your team? Not as a poster on the wall, a plaque above the hallway, but as a conversation. People find joy when they feel their work contributes to something eternal, something worthwhile. If you lead a company, invite your people into that process. If you lead a church, revisit the vision together. Shared mission doesn't drive results, it creates belonging. So let's talk about environment. Science tells us that our surroundings shape our emotional state. Light, color, sound, nature, even scent all impact how our brains process stress and joy. The article that I was referring to highlighted something that I've seen in every joyful workspace, and that is intentional space design. Rooms with natural light, greenery, space that invites collaboration and conversation. And I love this idea, creating joy cues, moments, colors, or rhythms that remind your brain this is a place where I belong. Now, remember, we talk a lot about be transformed by the renewing of your mind, but renewing your mind is easier when your environment supports it. A culture of joy begins with the spaces and rhythms that say, you're safe here, you're valued here, and you can breathe here. One of the most powerful ways to rewire a team for joy is through gratitude. Gratitude literally shifts the brain from survival mode to creative. It moves people from fear to faith, from defensiveness to openness. As leaders, when we express genuine appreciation, not performative, but heartfelt, we build psychological safety. And safety is the soil where creativity grows. Then there's servant leadership. Robert Greenleaf described it as putting the needs of others first. And Jesus modeled it perfectly when he washed his disciples' feet. Servant leadership isn't about power, it's about presence. It's leading with listening, with humility, with care. And when leaders do that, joy becomes contagious. And let's not forget hope. Hope is the anchor that steadies a team through uncertainty. It's not wishful thinking. It's confident expectation that better is possible. Hope activates perseverance and innovation in the brain. So when you lead, speak hope. It rewires more than just attitudes. It rewires neural pathways. Now, the power of connection and play. This might surprise some leaders, but joy and play belong at work. A Gallup study found that people who have a best friend at work are twice as engaged as those who don't. Why? Because connection increases dopamine, our brain's motivation molecule. When people laugh together, collaborate, and share small wins, they bond. And bonded teams outperform burnt out ones every time. So leaders, it's okay, even holy, to have fun. Whether it's a shared meal, a lighthearted conversation, a creative brainstorming session that feels more like play than labor, play fuels innovation. After all, joy and creativity flow from the same part of our brain. So maybe it's time to bring a little laughter back into the workplace, to model that serious results don't always require a serious face. Integrating wellness and celebration. I loved in this research how celebration was discussed. Okay, biblically, celebration is sacred. God established feasts, Sabbaths, and rhythms of rejoicing because he knew that joy renews strength. Workplaces need that too. Celebrate milestones, birthdays, progress, even small wins. When we celebrate, we anchor our brains in gratitude and abundance. We create what I call Pavlovian joy associations so that work becomes connected to fulfillment, not fatigue. When leaders intentionally infuse wellness rhythms, mindfulness, breathing, prayer, even brief pauses of silence, joy becomes the culture, not the expectation. Here's something practical. Joy does not flourish where people feel unseen or unfairly treated. Yes, compensation matters, but equity and recognition matter more. People give their best when they feel valued. So leaders, look for the quiet contributors. Celebrate not just results, but growth, collaboration, and faithfulness. Remember, God sees in secret, and leaders who reflect that same awareness build deeply loyal teams. As you're listening today, maybe you're realizing our team needs a joy reset, or maybe you do too. If your workplace feels heavy or disconnected, if creativity has stalled, or your people seem weary, it's not too late. Joy can be rebuilt from the inside out. That's what I help leaders do. Through Awaken Joy Leadership, I help faith-driven leaders renew their minds, reconnect with purpose, and build cultures that thrive from the inside out. So if you'd like to talk through what's blocking joy in you or your team, I'd love to offer you a free 15-minute discovery call. We'll identify 1 or 2 core shifts that could completely change the emotional climate of your leadership environment. You can schedule that call directly in the link in the descriptions. Leadership was never meant to drain you, friend. It was meant to delight you, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. So this week, may you lead with gratitude, may you speak with hope, and may you create spaces where people encounter joy, not just in what they do, but in who they're becoming. I'm cheering for you, and I'll see you next time on Department 88.